I don't want to.
Anything I need, we're fine. Yeah. Right. But we did go.
Yeah, that's why.
Gotta get something else. And then invest. We were trying to get we hired for the mobile. I didn't know maybe they
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North 65 Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum. My name is Melissa Bettendorf, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Chamber. We're here this evening to provide you, the voters, an opportunity to hear from our local candidates running for office and to gain valuable insights into the policies, visions, and qualifications of those seeking to serve our communities. This is the first of two forums. Tonight we'll be meeting candidates for the offices of Cambridge City Council and Isanti County Commissioner Districts 1, 3, and 4. And then on Monday, September 30th, we'll meet the candidates for Isanti City Council and Cambridge-Isanti School Board. Before we get started this evening, I'd like to review the forum guidelines with you. A complete list of the forum guidelines are posted at the entrance and were also provided to the candidates. I'd like you to take a moment right now to ensure that your phone is silenced. Thank you very much for that. The purpose of this forum is to provide information. It's not a debate. There are no campaign materials allowed in this room. Thank you, candidates, for placing your materials in the lobby. Please refrain from exuberant expressions of support or opposition to any candidate during the forum. I want to let you know that this event is being broadcast via live stream. Welcome to those of you who are joining us online. A recording will be made available to the public next week unless a technical difficulty prevents us from doing so. Just a reminder, guests may not speak directly to the candidates or the moderator. Your questions must be submitted in writing via the webinar Q&A for those online or note cards for those of you here on site. Additionally, questions were received from an online form, which is now closed. Please remember to address your questions to all of the candidates for an office, as all of the candidates will have the opportunity to answer each question. And then just a reminder, audience questions on similar issues may be consolidated or rephrased, and the number of questions we can ask will be limited to the amount of time we have here this evening. The moderator will inform our candidates of the time that's allotted to answer each question. We have a timekeeper here in the front who will provide notice of the time remaining to the candidates using a sign. And then the first and subsequent speakers were determined by random drawing. And you'll go according to the candidates left to answer the next question first. In the short time we have this evening, we'll only touch on the surface of many important issues, and unfortunately, we won't be able to get to all questions. So we do encourage you to reach out to the candidates for further discussion. And before we begin with the forum, I want to make some words of thank you to those who have helped to make this event possible. Vanessa Hansel is the Chamber Assistant Executive Director. She's here in the front, helping with cards. She'll gather your questions. Liz Shattuck is the Chamber Member Relations Coordinator. She's in the back. She's overseeing our online audience. I'd like to thank our event committee members who also serve on the chamber board. Rebecca Trethaway with EFS Advisors, Christy Patrick with Pretty Little Signs, Nikita Ostrom with Rosewood Senior Living, and Julie Page with Impact Coaching Solutions. Our timekeeper tonight is Diane Rasmussen. Diane is a retired member of our business community. A special thank you to the team here at Anoka Ramsey Community College for hosting us tonight. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator, Julie Page. Julie is a local business owner and a chamber member who's active in our community. Thank you for sharing your time with us tonight, Julie. Let's begin.
All right, so I was told to introduce myself a little bit. I am the owner of Impact Coaching Solutions, where I empower and equip leaders to unlock their full potential while also prioritizing their personal wellness and a great life-work balance. And it is my privilege to be the moderator today, so we are going to get started. Our first question, we have 1 minute, and we will be starting with you, Molly. Oh, sorry. Okay. I forgot. They're going to introduce themselves before we jump into the questions. Wouldn't that be important? All right. So Molly, we're going to start with you and we'll just go down. We have 2 minutes. If you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm Molly Christian, and I'd like to just start off by thanking the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. It's a great opportunity. I'm running for city council because I love our community, and I would like to invest my time and talent ensuring a healthy future for Cambridge. My 25 years as a business professional, 20 plus years as a homeowner, time invested as a volunteer mediator for Anoka County, and my master's level education will aid me well in addressing issues that come before the council and in making decisions that will be a benefit to this city and its residents. I firmly believe local government is about representing and respecting the many voices that make our city special. Healthy city governance is made stronger with community participation. In recent months, I have heard the community voice during council meetings and will work to further increase citizen involvement in future council meetings. The city does not have its own money per se. The city is a steward of citizens' tax money. That's your money. I want the community to be involved in ensuring that the council does that well. It is important to me that we continue to build a strong bond between the city of Cambridge and Isanti County. City decisions are not insular, and having that strong bond will aid the council in making well-informed decisions with a broader perspective, better communication, and more cooperation. More positive changes can be made. I'm excited about having the privilege to serve this great city if I'm elected in November to serve on the Cambridge City Council.
Thank you, Molly. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Chabella. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'd like to share a little bit about myself. I'm retired, and what that means is I have the time and the passion to devote to the city of Cambridge. I have worked for Isanti County for 40 years as the building facilities director. I know how local government works. I'm a graduate of Cambridge High School. My son is a graduate, and his wife and my 2 grandsons. I'm really vested in this community. I've lived in Isanti County almost my whole life and in the city of Cambridge for 20 years. I think it's a great place to live. The city council is proposing a 6.5% levy increase for 2025, and in 2026, they're looking at an 18% levy increase. This is unacceptable. The local proposed levy increases are Isanti County, 1.99, the city of Bram, 2.97, the city of Isanti, 4.18, city of Cambridge, 6.50. My question is why? If elected, I'll do my homework. I'll ask the tough questions. I'm an independent thinker. I'll work hard for you, and I will think outside the box to save the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Zebarth, and I'm running for City Council. I'd like to start by thanking the Chamber for hosting tonight. We appreciate your support. I am running for City Council to continue what we started during my first 4 years on the council. My career has spanned 3 decades, the 3 decades that I've lived here in Cambridge. My wife and I moved here in 1989 and have been invested in our community for the last 35 years. I was lucky enough to spend 27 of those years as a principal here in Cambridge-Isanti Public Schools. I have recently retired and am now working for St. Cloud State University. I have always prioritized service to the community. And as the candidate representing all of us here in Cambridge, my focus lies on 3 key issues that are essential to Cambridge's growth and prosperity. First, economic development, attracting and retaining businesses. Helping our city develop, attract, and retain businesses is a major focus for me and will continue to be if I'm reelected. I believe that economic development is the backbone of a thriving community, and I am committed to creating a vibrant business environment in Cambridge. Second, fiscal responsibility, implementing sound financial management practices to maintain balanced budgets. I'm proud of the work we have done in Cambridge to develop and support sound financial plans. Our finance staff works very closely with our council to develop plans and manage our tax dollars effectively, ensuring that we maintain a balanced budget and ensure our resources wisely. And finally, parks and recreation. Developing new green spaces and community gardens and other places for people in our community is important to me. We have partnered as a council and as a city with several community organizations to enhance our community. This includes developing dog parks, community gardens, green spaces, and improvements to our bike trail. These initiatives not only beautify our city, but also promote a healthier and more connected community.
Thank you, Mark. Sorry, we have time. Over to Ashley. Thank you.
Hi, guys. Thank you. And thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is Ashley Ozer. I am probably a very new resident to you guys. Currently, I've only lived in Cambridge for 4 years. I fell in love with Cambridge, and I always tell my husband now that I fell in love with Cambridge before I fell in love with him. So, you know, he's probably not going to get rid of me. It's very important to me to see community development here in this area. I love going around and seeing everybody that I know in the stores, and I do want to focus on our tax dollars. I think it's very important that those are being used in the proper ways. And we want fire departments, we want ambulance, we want police in this town. We want to feel safe. We don't want potholes. We don't want to be the town with potholes. Everybody knows that. I would appreciate your vote. I'm really looking forward to serving you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates, for that great introduction. So now we're going to go to the first question. And Tom, we're going to start with you. What issues do you believe are most important to the citizens of Cambridge? We have 1 minute.
Being fiscally responsible. And at these levy increases, I don't think the city is being fiscally responsible. It's nice to be fiscally responsible when you have a checkbook that's unlimited. You can't just keep asking the taxpayers for more money, more money, more money. They need to be more fiscally responsible. They need to do some planning. And that's my point.
Thank you for the question. For me, this is Mark Seabarth. For those of you that are listening to us not here, I have 3 things. Economic development is a very important issue. I touched on that in my introductory remarks. Helping and maintain our city business climate is very important. Fiscal responsibility is also very important. And again, I'm very proud of the work that we have done working with our city finance department to develop plans so that we are able to meet all of the needs of our citizens and our city and be fiscally responsible. And lastly, I also think it's important that residents of our community have a place that they feel connected to. And that's why I'm actively involved in our parks and recreation. And I'm very excited for things like expanding our Cambridge-Isanti bike trail and doing other things to beautify our community. And I'm also really excited about things we've done to partner with community groups for expanding our
Thank you, Mark.
dog park.
Thank you again. This is Ashley Ozer. Some issues that I do think are most important to the community are maintaining our small community values. I think that that is the one thing that I hear when I talk to people is that they don't want to be a big city. Unfortunately, we have to face the fact that we probably already are. We offer a lot of really, really good things for our community. We have hospitals, we have public transportation, we have movie theaters, we have grocery stores. What ways are we going to ensure that that is healthy growth for our community? Are we going to pave more dirt roads so that we have more access to people? Are we going to build more homes? You know, those things are important to me as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So the next question we'll start with. Oh, sorry.
It's all right. Will you repeat the question for me?
Of course, and that's what I was just gonna say, if you need me to. Okay, Molly, the question is, what issues do you believe are most important to the citizens of Cambridge? You have 1 minute.
All right, thank you for that. I have been door knocking hundreds of doors over the past few months, and I can tell you what I've heard. A lot of people are concerned about the taxes. There's several people who are single income or fixed income, and that's been a concern. They're worried they're going to be taxed out of their homes. Not something I want to hear. Code enforcement, it's interesting. Different neighborhoods have different concerns, even in regards to code enforcement. And while that's only one side of the story, there's been enough where I feel that's something that needs to be looked into. I've heard about the need for a family restaurant in town, but not pizza. Roads, a community center, a field house, a place to walk. So there's several concerns, and for each person who's bringing that concern to me, that is, you know, a top priority for them. I have a list and I'm happy to start working on those once elected.
Thank you. All right, the next question is 1 minute. We're going to start with Mark. And just a reminder, 2 reminders. So if you do need the question repeated, because sometimes it's a long time in between, just ask. And then a reminder to be watching Diane down there for our timekeeper. Thank you, Diane. So the question is, a recent housing study states Cambridge has experienced rapid population growth since the early 2000s, growing by 47% between 2000 and 2010, and another 18.5% the last decade. Projections for this decade show continued strong growth with a nearly 20% growth rate. So in what ways does the city need to grow and adapt to meet the needs of our growing population?
Thank you for the question. As a city council, we have embarked on a housing study within the last year to tackle that very question. And what the city is looking at doing is looking at options for housing. What are the options that we have? How can we partner with other community, regional, and state agencies to help with us with housing options and to continue to look at places we could develop more property so that we could continue to expand. We have recently, with the Cambridge Cove development, we have expanded to the northwest portion of our city. Once that development fills up, then we are starting to become landlocked. And so we do need to begin to have that conversation as a council about where to go next. And thank you for your time.
Well, there's no denying that Cambridge is growing as we've seen multiple apartments going up and starting with residents now. So I think it's very important that we make these new residents happy. I think that a community center is very important. I'm very excited about the potential for the development around Lake Fanny. I think that having a live music venue, swimming beach area, and another lakeside community is going to be really vital for this. I'm also very excited for the potential of maybe some softball fields coming. We want to be able to host those people. And we want Cambridge to still be that destination. We, get our spot on the weather map. Let's make that a reason. Thank you. Well, growth is definitely a good thing and it comes with its challenges. Without having more information about what the council is currently looking into and the results of kind of the housing research that they're doing. My question would be is who is moving? What is the demographic? Does this mean that we need more along the lines of people who are in their retirement type phase of life, or are we having a lot more children and we need to be focusing on schools and activities for children and things like that? Definitely with more people, there's going to be more congestion in town. When I was outdoor knocking, I heard a lot of concern about 95. And so I think just getting the flow of traffic through town and getting people from point A to point B is going to be an important thing to a lot of people that I've spoken with.
Could you repeat the question again?
Certainly. A recent housing study states Cambridge has experienced rapid population growth since the early 2000s. We've grown 47% between 2000 and 2010, 18.5% between 2010 and 2020, and projections are showing another 20%. In what ways, Tom, does the city need to grow or adapt to meet these needs of a growing population?
Well, I didn't read the study and I don't know what the study actually said. It said 40%. Who were those 40%? Were they young families? Were they senior citizens? Who were they? A question I have is, what did the housing study cost? Another thing I'd like to mention is that, I think the market should dictate some things. And we need to steer the market in the right direction, but the market needs to dictate where we go in life and not let government dictate where we go. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next question will be starting with Ashley. We have 1.5 minutes. The question is, how will you approach the city's budget and fiscal planning to ensure financial stability while meeting the needs of residents concerned about rising taxes? What areas do you believe require increased investment or cuts?
I think that listening to the people when they come to the city council meetings is always very important, and listening to what they have to say. Obviously, the safety of our community is number one for me, so making sure that we have police and fire and ambulance service available to us. Also, sewer and water is very important. Again, we don't want any flooding in our community. As far as cutting budgets right now, that would definitely be something that I would have to look into. But as far as being where we are in the tax percentile, I feel like we are in the good place, and I like being able to not have to worry about my safety in the community. And again, I would have to do a little more research on cutting the budget. Thank you. Being able to manage a budget wisely is a very important thing, not only in our personal lives, but also at the government, all levels of the government, in particular our city. I think it would be important to start with a department by department review and just see where the money is going currently and what the big expenses are, and ask each department what they think they can do and where they can trim back. I believe that a past budget does not need to dictate what a future budget is. I'd like to start from zero each year and build from there to make sure that we are not just taking what we had and increasing it by a given percentage without really knowing where that money is going to go or if that's needed. In my past business experience, I worked for a freight company. We wanted to cut some costs. And what we did was we said, okay, instead of putting bulk office supplies in the cabinet, we're just gonna have so much. When you use the last one, then ask for the next order to come in. And just that simple change of how we were being efficient with our resources, we were able to save $2,000 at that one location. So saying that we were gonna be financially efficient doesn't mean that we're going to stop spending money or stop doing things. But it definitely does mean that we need to look closely and hard at what we're doing and making sure that it's in the best interest of our citizens.
Can you ask the question again?
Of course, Tom. How will you approach the city's budget and fiscal planning to ensure financial stability while also meeting the needs of residents concerned about rising taxes? What areas do you believe require increased investment or cuts?
One of the things I'd like to bring to the forefront here is a year ago, the mayor and Evan signed a contract with the Monkberg family for $4 million. They put down $100,000 that's non-refundable. We need to really take a look at this project here that's going forward. This is going to be quite expensive to the taxpayers. We talked about housing in that area and so forth and so on. What we didn't talk about is, the city didn't talk about is, what are the ongoing costs of the facility? What did it cost for SEH to come up with a preliminary concept? I think they put the cart before the horse here. I think they didn't do diligent on researching this project. I think they should have talked to Fanny Lake Improvement District. They should have talked to the Planning Commission. They should have talked to Parks and Rec. They should have talked to Isanti County a little bit about this issue. These are the things that are costing us a ton of money. What we need to do is take a step back from this issue here and see what the cost is to the taxpayer. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, one of the things that is kind of a difficult situation is oftentimes when people discuss and talk to me about their taxes, they're talking about their property taxes. And one of the things that has been kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time has been over the last few years, property values across Isanti County and in the city of Cambridge have gone up as people are purchasing homes and they're paying more money. As a result of that, their values go up. Those values then dictate their property taxes. And so that is something that we continue to need to work on, how we address that issue. How do we address as a state through working with our county and city and every other partners, how do we help with that, maintaining services and levels without these property values increasing. The other thing I just wanted to mention is, as a council, we meet multiple times each year. We meet with all of our department heads. We look at the budgets. We look at areas. We analyze, and to be honest with you, we agonize sometimes that we're not going to be able to do certain things that we maybe should. We'll put those things off for a year in order to be fiscally responsible. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. The next question, we will start with Molly. And we have 1 minute. What is the city council's role in supporting local businesses and fostering economic growth in Cambridge and Isanti. What is your top priority in the area of economic development? Sorry, economic growth in Cambridge. I just crossed it off. I'm like, why is that? Okay, so what is your top priority?
Top priority is to make sure that when we are welcoming businesses into our city, that we're also welcoming them in a way that's not a detriment to the citizens. What I've been hearing in town as I'm door knocking is that there have been different agreements made and different financing deals that have been given to businesses to encourage them to come. I don't know the details. I can't say I love it or I hate it. Definitely something I would want to be looking into on behalf of citizens who are concerned about bearing tax burden for businesses. I do think it's important to have good, healthy commerce thriving in our city. And that is a great source of revenue in our cities. So I would say, we've got a few properties. We've got the site where Perkins was. We've got the laundromat. We've got some opportunities where we can be thoughtful in planning and getting some businesses to come into town and actually start earning a good revenue.
I think it's the role of city government is to make sure that the infrastructure is there for the businesses that would like to come in. But again, I'll talk about Perkins and Hupper Dry Cleaning Building. Well, I have more questions than I have answers. What is going on with that property? Those properties have been sitting empty for a number of years. I'd like to know what's going on with that property. Infrastructure, so that the businesses come in, they have no problems. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. First of all, the city council's main role and what we think is the top priority is to continue to grow our city and to grow our business community. And some of the ways that we do that, I'm just going to give you some examples in the last 4 years. We took a huge step in our downtown area by implementing a sprinkling system so we can sprinkle more and more of our, we can put the infrastructure in to allow businesses to put in sprinkling. That takes some investment from the city, but that's going to save the entire downtown area from a potential fire or an accident. So those are the kinds of things that we can do. We also are looking at maintaining and managing our Cambridge Mall area as a feeder for small businesses. That's been very successful. And also not to forget all the other parts of our community and to make sure that our business development is happening. Thank you.
I think the city council plays a very vital role in supporting local businesses. And from my experience on the board of directors at the Chamber of Commerce, I know how important networking is and getting out there and talking about yourself. So I think that the city council and the chamber do a really good job of supporting those businesses. They're always here to answer questions or point someone in the right direction. If you don't know something about your business or a way to do it, city council or chamber is always there to help you. My top priority in economic development definitely would be to get another family restaurant here in town. We need another place where we can go and sit down and eat, whether it be something like a Chipotle or a Panera, something where people can gather, but that does not involve pizza. I love pizza rings.
Thank you, candidates. The next question will be starting with you, Tom. We have 1 minute. What are your thoughts on the purchase and development of the Monkberg property?
I think I've already talked about that, but I can expand on that the purchase agreement was for $4 million. $100,000 was put down on it. The purchase agreement expires sometime in November here coming up. They need to make a decision. Do they move forward with this? That's going to cost another $50,000, non-refundable. There's lots of hoops that need to be jumped through here yet. DNR, and again, why wasn't all these people involved in the decision-making before the purchase of that property was made. All right, thank you.
Monkberg property is part of a number of initiatives related to that involving potential park as well as some development for housing. It is a topic that the city has been looking at as a result of concerns that have been expressed about needing more land for development, for housing. And so that's part of the strategy, as well as one of the amendments that, one of the amenities that many people in our community have asked about is having a water amenity in our communities. And so the goal is to take a look at that and examine if it is feasible. And that is what the council is doing.
When I heard about the proposed purchase for this property, I got so excited about it because I really think that it'll just add so much value to the city of Cambridge. As far as right now, if I want to go swimming on a lake somewhere, I'm driving at least 20 minutes to the closest swimming beach. I think that would just be really great to have that in our community, as well as a place for musical performances too. We've seen the success that Isanti has had with their little outdoor amphitheater. And I think that that's definitely something that would drive the right kind of healthy growth and prosperity to the city of Cambridge. Thank you. Who doesn't like a park? I love the idea of a park. I just don't think I like the reality of a park. I've heard the initial price tag of about $14.5 million. I don't know that that includes ongoing maintenance for the life of the park or additional insurance if we're going to use the building for a venue for weddings and such. The way I look at it is this: we have a lot of beautiful parks, and when I'm out in the parks, I rarely see more than a handful of other people. So I would be curious to know who is going to be using the park, and is the cost versus the benefit worth it? Now, I would love to go to Hawaii. I would love to take a vacation. I would love to do it all inclusive. It would be amazing. But the reality is it's not my budget. And I feel like this park falls into that category. Sounds like a great idea. I'm just not sure it's quite in our budget at the moment.
Thank you, everyone. Our next question will be starting with Mark. We have 1 minute. In the 2021 strategic plan, encouraging and facilitating the revitalization and restoration of a vibrant downtown was identified as a core strategy for the city. Several programs have been put into place since adoption of this plan. What's one program, investment, or change that you would propose for the greatest positive impact in downtown, and how would you accomplish that change, Mark?
We discussed earlier about the sprinkler idea that the city has already implemented. That is going to help maintain much of our core of downtown. Also, we have had a program, low-cost loans for businesses for beautification and for just basically improving their business. And so we're very supportive of that. That's all part of our economic development program. I think they've been very successful, and I hope that they continue.
One thing I'm very personally passionate about is event coordinating and planning. And I was thoroughly enjoying my time with the Discover Downtown program. That program is something that's very near and dear to my heart, driving business to downtown. Unfortunately, when I attend those events, I feel like they're missing so much more. I would propose that we encourage businesses to do more at those events, to maybe sponsor music, put out a cotton candy stand. Maybe we can get a different food truck from some other place that's not already in Cambridge. I just think that we need to expand, maybe open up to some other vendors or people that are doing things from home. I understand that's to drive businesses downtown, but a lot of those businesses are closed. when those events are going on. So what else can we do to show that downtown Cambridge is a gem and have people come there? Piggyback on what Ashley said is, I too love the downtown events, so nice job. And I would love to see the restaurants showcased a bit more. There is one food truck, there's usually a really long line. And there are a number of restaurants or just right in the Main Street area that could maybe participate to alleviate the long line of the food truck and showcase what they have to offer. When I read through the plan, something that stuck out to me was the promotion of kind of the Rum River area. And I'm just gonna connect this back with our previous question. So this new park over by Lake Fanny doesn't really align with promoting the Rum River. So, I guess just kind of to tie the two together, would wonder how that park aligns with the 2021 plan.
Again, I think infrastructure is the best thing to do for downtown, making sure that there's sewer, water, adequate sewer, water. And I think one of the big things that we need to really take a hard look at is parking. Where do the people park if they want to visit downtown? That's what needs to be looked at, is parking. Again, let the market dictate things, but provide the market with the infrastructure that it needs to do its job. Parking is a big issue for the for the visitors of Cambridge who want to shop downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. The next question will start with Ashley. And we have 1 minute. How will you ensure that all community voices are heard and considered in city decision-making processes? Why should the residents trust you to advocate on their behalf?
I feel, being a newer resident to Cambridge, that I'm probably the most non-biased person on council. I will first admit that I don't have the experience that you might be looking for in the city council, but maybe that's what you need right now. Maybe you just need a working wife and mother who doesn't know, what is going to come from next year or next year's budget. Maybe you just need somebody who lives here and understands what's going on and shops here. So I hope. Making sure people feel heard is really important. And I know as a person, when I have had situations where I'm frustrated or concerned about something, and I bring my concern to the person that is supposed to care and feel that I'm talking to a stone wall, that does not go over well. I've seen that happen. And I don't think it was ill intent, but I think it's just the format in which certain meetings are held. So I would work to create a forum for citizens where there can be some more dialogue versus just speaking and not having any interaction. I know that it's a challenge. People communicate in different ways at different ages, whether it's a newspaper or Facebook or text messaging or mail or whatever. So to just really focus in on figuring out where people are. And if it is just door to door, willing to do it, as long as that's how I'm going to get to the people to hear what they have to say.
I've been to lots of county board meetings, lots of city council meetings, and yes, there's just a handful of people that come in. We need to reach out to them. What I can offer them is listening. I will listen to them. I will go out and find them. I will go to the coffee shops. I will meet with them in their homes, wherever it may be. You need to be a good listener. I am a good listener. And we've tried night meetings and so far, it still doesn't bring the people in. What we need to do is go to the people. go to the downtown areas, visit with the people, get their input. Thank you.
First of all, to answer the question, council has held numerous listening sessions throughout the community, usually in relationship to a third Thursday event or some other community forum. We also, when we have a community event, we as council members are invited to participate and to interact with people, ask them what's on their minds. So we do that. The other thing is as an elected citizen, I also get a lot of phone calls from residents asking me about a number of different issues. And we have a dialogue and we talk about it, and I take their concerns to the council. Also, we have a community forum every council session where people are given an opportunity to share something. As part of that format, we are not able to interact with them. However, it does give us an idea of what concerns are for our citizens. And it is something that we will continue to work on. We also have a very active community night out as well.
Thank you. Our next question will be starting with Molly. We have only 30 seconds for this question. And the question is, what about the city are you most proud of?
I love the neighborliness. I've lived a few different places and I've never known my neighbors, but I know my neighbors here. And when I first moved to Cambridge, there was so much snow. It was always snowing, like 4 times a day shoveling. And never once did I have to deal with that like liquid concrete at the end of the driveway by myself. There were so many people that were willing to help. And so I've really, really appreciated just the kind neighborliness.
I agree with that. The best part about any town is the people that are in the town. When you are proud of your town, you're friendly. This is what I enjoy mostly about the city of Cambridge is the people. The people are the most kind, friendly people that I've ever met.
And for me, what I love the most about our community is the can-do spirit. How if people bring forward something as an issue or a concern, they work together, whether it's from expanding the dog park, community garden, to ice rinks, to you name it, pickleball. There is a community group passionate about it that we're working and supporting them so that we have a better community. And that's what I love the most.
One thing I love the most about Cambridge is that it does provide all of the amenities of a big city with still, again, to piggyback on what everyone is saying here, that community. And our people in the zip code of Cambridge and Isanti, they're just so nice. And I am very proud to be a part of that. I'm very proud that you guys have welcomed me as an outsider with open arms. And I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, and that makes me very happy. So I look very forward to serving you guys for sure.
Thank you. We have a lot to be proud of. Next question, starting with you, Tom. 1 minute. If elected, what are your top 2 goals for the first year in office?
I think y'all know where I stand. It's being fiscally responsible. All these other things that we talked about, economic development and all these other things will fall in place. First and foremost is being being fiscally responsible. That's where it starts. We can't keep taxing the people out of their homes. Thank you.
For me, the top 2 areas continue to be economic development, making sure that we are a vibrant community and that we continue to grow our businesses and to really live out our motto, which is Minnesota's opportunity community. And also want to continue to work with our amazing city staff on really developing our plan for fiscal going forward.
I think we all know that the city of Cambridge really needs to focus on their infrastructure and definitely get that 95 project underway. I know that's the topic on everybody's mind, so let's get that moving. And also I really enjoy our parks here. I think focusing on our park situation, and developing that, creating those, connecting those bike paths so that people have easier access to. I'm really looking forward to something like that. Well, I am with Tom. We need to get in there and reduce the year after year increases to the city tax levy. And then the second most important thing to me is really encouraging citizen involvement and making sure that the citizens feel heard when presenting issues to the council.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Mark. 1 minute. Regarding the rights of homeowners around their property, do you feel the current ordinances are appropriate? And do you feel the current enforcement practices are appropriate?
Thank you for the question. As a city council, we are always reviewing and looking at ordinances and things like that related to our city. And so I think that will continue to be the case. The thing that is always important is as a city is we're always balancing the needs of all of our citizens. One person might be angry about something happening on their property. Their neighbor might be angry because of something the person doing to their property next to them. And so our job is to balance that and to strike a medium, kind of a compromise and to work through that and always looking at things that we can improve.
I haven't had much experience with the city ordinances, but from talking with my neighbors, it seems like they have, and it seems like everything seems all over the board. So I would love to focus on creating ordinances that people can understand and feel like they want to respect them. I do think that that might be the problem, is that there just may be a lack of respect for the ordinance, and that people do feel like they can do what they want on their properties, which in turn you can, and that's fine. But as far as keeping junk or broken down cars and things like that, I do think that there are some ordinances that need to be enforced and more regulated for sure. I am all for homeowner rights. And I understand that we need to have city ordinances because we need to have a standard. So we need to figure out a way. I love black and white, but when you work with people, there's this thing that is a gray area. And one thing will bother somebody else, wouldn't bother me, or there's something else that would bother me and not somebody else. And then we have the one neighbor that everything bothers them and they complain about everybody. What I'm hearing when I'm door knocking is that some people are feeling kind of picked on as far as code enforcement issues. And I think to an extent there may be something to that because it was mentioned enough time by enough different people. So I have not read through, I have not memorized the city code. I don't know if that will ever happen, but I have referenced it. I think it's a good tool. And I think that passive enforcement is the way to go. But we do need to figure out ways that we can make these better and that complaints with neighbors can be maybe a little more favorable for the homeowner.
Thank you, Molly.
I think the key word here is consistency. I think that's what we need to focus on. Consistency. I've heard again from multiple homeowners, oh, they make me do that, but they didn't make my neighbor do that. Consistency. Codes and ordinances is always a work in progress. They're always changing. Thank you.
Next question, we'll be starting with Ashley. We have 30 seconds for this question. Ashley, do you think that we have adequate public safety resources? Why or why not?
I absolutely think that we have adequate public safety resources. Number one, because I hear sirens all the time. Also, I live in a very good neighborhood that actually has a lot of police officers that live in my neighborhood, and I see their cars and I feel safe like that. Every time I'm out shopping, there's one driving. I know that the fire department is very close to my house, so yes, that's something that I'm very satisfied with. I feel safe in my community. I know that a number of people that I've spoken to would echo that. We talked about growth earlier, so I don't know if with the growth that we've had, if there's been the needed growth with the police force, that would be something that would need to be looked at and evaluated. I've heard a lot of people talk about an uptick in vandalism, and I don't know if that's an indicator that things are falling behind on that front, or if it's just a little bit of a crime spree with some young folks who think that's entertaining. All things that would need to be looked into.
I feel that the most important part is the staff, the firefighters, the police officers. You can have the fanciest equipment, you can have the largest budget. I think it's the staff, the police officers, the firefighters, and I know most of these guys, they're the best. Thank you.
Some of the things that we've done as a council to help make sure that we have adequate public safety protections. Number one is we are now fully staffed as a city council. We have been working on that since I started in my term in 2020. We were understaffed. We have finally reached a point now where we are fully staffed. And also our fire department has done an awesome job of expanding and with firefighters and do it within budget.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Molly. And we also have 30 seconds for this question. Molly, what are your ideas for preserving open spaces in the city?
I'm not sure that I know what you mean by open spaces in the city. Do you mean parks?
It's just open space.
Yeah, that was the question.
Open spaces. Well, I guess I would need to better understand what is meant by open spaces.
Well, I'm not sure what your vision of open spaces is, but my vision of open spaces is green space. When you put a development area, we need some open space there. When a business comes into town, maybe we need a little open space, some trees planted, stuff like that.
So one of the things that's been a focus for our city council with our strategic plan is to maintain and develop our parks. And one of the ways that we've done that is by adding amenities in our parks, doing things to make them walkable, bike trails, things like that, to preserve and expand them, to give people more opportunities to get outdoors and to move and to meet their neighbors. This is an area that's been a huge focus and will continue to be.
I think preserving our open spaces and parks is very important. I love every time I go for a walk and there's butterflies and birds and, you know, just wildlife everywhere. And I think that's something that Cambridge really have that a lot of cities don't have. That's very special. That's another reason why the Lake Fanny project is very important to me. Right now, that's unused land space. Why, I mean, as that is an open green space, let's create a community, a space for our community to go and visit and meet our neighbors.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Tom. 1 minute. Tom, based on today's economy, what is your policy on setting the final levy for the city of Cambridge? Is a 0% increase feasible?
0 is not feasible, but 6.50 is unacceptable. We have to look at the budget, see where it can be cut. Why are we asking for 6.50? And if the data that I received from the city is correct, in 26, it's 18% levy increase. That's not acceptable. Realistically, we should follow guidelines such as cost of living. Cost of living is at about 3.2% today. 3% is acceptable. 6.5 is not, 18% is ridiculous.
The final levy is determined by a lot of different things. But it is not really, it's not possible at this moment in time to do a zero. Because what I have found is when we do things like that, that there are things that we end up having to put off that end up becoming more expensive in the long term. So the way to do this is we meet with our staff, go through our department heads, sharpen our pencils, find where we can find reductions, find where we need to invest in things, and to do that effectively, not taking shortcuts and missing things and then having a big tax bill later because we forgot something or we did not take care of things that are mandated or required related to infrastructure or other things like that. Thank you.
I think a 0% increase is unreasonable, and I don't think anybody would want that. I think that taxes are very important. It's just all in how you use them. It sounds like this budget might need to be gone through with a fine tooth comb to maybe see where we can do some cuts and to see what can we maybe put off. But as Mark said, the cost just increased. So if you put off projects, they're gonna cost more the next year. And if you don't save money for them, if you're planning on doing them the next year, you have to think about those things as well. I agree. 0% is probably not feasible right away, but I would like to get there at some point. With it 18.48%, I think is what it is for 2026, which would be the first budget year that I would be making decisions with if elected. I know that I can do better than that. I think that we need to treat the budget of the city like we would our own pocketbook. There are things that we need, things that have to be done, so there's not additional costs incurred or problems that become bigger than they need to be. But then there's some nice to haves that maybe we just need to make some hard decisions about so we can get ourselves in a fiscally good place.
Thank you. Next question, we're going to start with Mark. And this is our last, so we're going to have you go through. We have 1 minute for a closing statement from each one of you, please.
All right, well, thank you for your attention today. Thank you for being interested in the future of Cambridge. Cambridge is an amazing community that I've had the pleasure of living in for the last 35 years. As a member of the council for the last 4 years, we have worked really hard on our strategic plan. We've worked on being fiscally responsible. We've looked at our infrastructure. We've looked at all of the different projects that we need to do and trying to figure out how to balance all those needs while also making Cambridge, Minnesota's opportunity community a place where people want to be. And that's the one thing that I think has been a great thing of the last 4 years that I've been working on. And if elected, I will continue that for another 4. So thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Have a great evening.
Thank you guys so much for listening to us all talk tonight. I know that we all really appreciate it. I myself, Ashley, am thoroughly looking forward to this November and seeing how this all plays out. When I heard there was a seat available or 2 open on the city council, I pretty much fell out of my chair thinking that was for me. And being the person that you can trust to go to and listen and to make changes, that would really mean a lot to me. And I hope that my thoughts would mean a lot to you as well. Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I realize that time is a precious commodity and I appreciate you investing yours in being educated voters. I'm running primarily to address the year after year tax increases. I believe we can do better. We need to ask good questions. We need to plan better. As I mentioned in my opening, I love our community and I would be honored to serve on the council if elected. If you have additional questions for me that weren't addressed tonight, you can contact me via my website, vote4molly.com, vote4molly.com. Thank you for considering me, Molly Christian, for city council as you vote this fall.
We can't do anything about today's budget, the 25 budget, but we can do something about the 26 budget. And that is elect new council members who will find ways to run the city more efficiently and transparent. I will be that council member. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll hang around out in the hallway. Please feel free to stop by and visit. Thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates and good luck to each one of you. And I want to say we're going to take a 10-minute break right now so that we can switch groups. So we'll ask the candidates for the Isanti County Commissioner, if you could please gather to the right side of the stage in 5 minutes for directions. And for the rest of us, take a little break, stretch your legs. We'll be back at 7:45 to start with the second set. Thank you. find their seats, we will be commencing again in 1 minute. So come on in from outside of the door, join us again. Thank you.
See Diane here for the time. And then what? Brought in the.
Sure, not a problem.
Welcome back, everyone. So we are going to welcome the candidates for Isanti County Commissioner. 3 districts are included in this year's election. The candidates, Rick Schneider and Todd Christensen, cannot attend this evening due to a prior commitment. Steve Westerberg had a scheduling conflict that he was unaware of, and so he may arrive late. Yep, we're both unaware. So he may arrive late. And Mike Waring did not provide a response. So we will begin with introductions. Candidates, you have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves. And Alan, if you could go first, thank you.
Thank you, North 65 Chamber. Appreciate all the work you do for our community, so thank you. My name's Alan Duff. I serve currently as the chair of the Isanti County Board of Commissioners. I am a retired Army major, served 23 years in our defense of our nation. Love our country. I have a master's degree in urban planning and management, and just love local government. I moved to the area after retiring from the military some 20 years ago, so I'm not exactly a newbie, but I'm not an old timer compared to some, like my wife is, who's been here all her life. So I know the area quite well, but I also am relatively new, so I see things through those eyes as well. I love public service. I really love listening to people. I love going out and door knocking and hearing what is the pulse of the community, what do we want, and how are we going to go forward as a community going forward. I look forward to continuing to serve in our great county, and I'll now turn it over to George.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for your service, by the way. Hi, my name is George Carlson. I've lived in Isanti County a little over 62 years now. I've never left the county. Lived in the northern part of the county. I grew up west of Dalbo. In '86, I moved out to the Bram Day area. I've served on the Bram School Board. I served on the cemetery committee at our church, as well as a lot of volunteering, and I'm currently on the Maple Ridge Town Board. And that's who I am, and I'm looking forward to hopefully serving everybody at the commissioner level, and we'll go from there.
All right, and then we'll start with George. So we're actually going to take turns, starting first. So George, you have 1 minute. What issues do you believe are most important to the citizens of Isanti County?
Well, there's no question when you go out and do your door knocking that obviously taxes, taxes, taxes. It's all you hear. And they just can't see them keep going up the way they were. Currently, they've done a pretty good job now of trying to hold them down, but we need to do better at keeping them down and yet still provide the services that we need to run the community.
Being heard, they want to know that their voice matters. Keeping taxes low is certainly paramount, and we've done a phenomenal job of that. 0% increase our first year in service, and our preliminary, which we just said earlier this week, was a 1.99% increase. I'm very, very proud of that record. Not only did we do that, but we've also invested in the future because I think we have a board that asks a lot of questions. Over the course of the 22 months that our current board has been there, we have saved somewhere between $3 to $3.5 million from what we've had in our budget, which is really good for going forward. We have a very nice safety cushion. We call it a fund balance reserve in the government sector, but we're sitting really well as a county, and that's just because we're asking the right questions and keeping focused on our target of serving the people.
Thank you. And then Alan, we'll start with you, 1.5 minutes. The question is, the county's comprehensive plan, Imagine 2045, was released earlier this year. How will you use this document in your decision-making as a commissioner?
I've already used it a lot. I'm very happy with the plan. My previous term on the Isanti County 12 years ago, I was the one commissioner who voted against it. And my rationale was that the public was not heard then. I think the public was heard quite loudly this time around. And what I heard very clearly was, we want to remain rural. And that really struck me because I really thought we were in this, one of the important factors for me was finding jobs for the young people that live here. And so they don't have to train, work in the Twin Cities, commute down there. And our cities do a great job of economic development. I enjoyed the conversation. The city councils wanting to do a lot of that. But what I heard, especially from the townships, is they want to remain rural. They want to keep that rural character. They want to keep safe. We want to invest in our sheriff's department. We want to keep our roads and our infrastructure solid. Those are the things that we've heard in the comp plan. I think the comp plan was very good. I'm glad it passed on a 5-0 vote. I think there was a lot of support. I have a lot of respect and appreciation from our city council, from our planning commission, and all the work that they did on this comprehensive plan. So it's a good plan that will guide us for the next 20 years.
Yeah, I agree. I sat on the beginning part of the committees when we started working on that comp plan. And it was the same situation there. They want to keep the outside of the area as rural as possible. And I think so far we're on track to do that.
Okay, starting with you, George. 1.5 minutes. The question is, continuing on this comprehensive plan, section 4 is devoted to land use. It states as a goal that Isanti County supports access to a high quality of life through purposeful growth management policies that support varied community priorities, including the preservation of agricultural lands and urbanization, while maintaining a unified sense of place. What does this mean to you?
Could you repeat that?
I sure can. It's kind of lengthy. I sure can. All right, so in the comprehensive plan, there's one section that's devoted to land use. It says, Isanti County supports access to a high quality of life through purposeful growth management policies that support varied community priorities, including the preservation of agricultural lands and urbanization, while also maintaining a unified sense of place. What does that mean to you?
To be honest with you, I haven't read into that enough. I really can't give you a very good answer on that question. I apologize to everybody. I will look into it and I'll do better to try to answer that. I'm sorry.
I'll try to give it an answer here. What I hear in that statement, what it means to me, land is one of our most valuable resources and we need to protect it. I was just in Princeton earlier today with our Rum River Watershed District meeting, and I'm real happy with them and a lot of the environmental coalitions in the area that are doing their part to preserve our agriculture in our area. I think it just means protecting those resources, helping the farmers out, whatever that means. Those are complicated questions, but whatever we can do to help them sustain the work that they do for our not just our families and for food, but for the nation, just what the farming community does. We're a predominantly farming community, and I think that is really a testament to what that question brings up.
Thank you. Alan, 1 minute. What is the role of the Isanti County Economic Development Authority, and how do you see this group serving the county in the next 2 years?
No, that's a loaded question. We've really been wrestling with that the last 2 years, and I have utmost respect for the two cities that are very active. The city of Cambridge is amazing, and the city of Isanti has provided a lot of great leadership. The chamber has been at the table, the East Central Regional Development Commission. All those partners, I think, are doing a phenomenal job at economic development. And frankly, what I see for the role of the county is just being a listener to what's going on and supporting whatever we can do. I ask the leaders who are doing this on a day-to-day basis. We've been talking about this at the county for quite some time. We're one of the few counties in the regional area that does not have a full-time economic development person. And one of the reasons why I think we don't is because the cities are doing such a good job on it that I'm not sure it's necessary at this point in time. at the county. And tying that back into the comprehensive plan, I didn't hear enough people say they really want to emphasize more growth at the cost of the rural townships.
Yeah, I agree with that, the county's role in this should be just kind of a supportive or a listening tool for the cities of Graham, Cambridge, and Isanti. After that, I believe it should be more up to them.
Thank you. George, 1 minute. Isanti County has a child care shortage that is affecting both families and employers. Should the county help address this issue? And if so, what solutions do you recommend or support?
The question has come up as I've done my door knocking. I do not have a solution to the problem. I know there's been a lot of people that have asked me, can the county at least look at it? That can open up quite a can of worms if we do. However, there's enough people out there that are asking about it. We may have to at least explore it.
I'll refer back to some of the discussion at the earlier candidate forum with the city council members that, the cities take the lead on a lot of the economic development issues, and just putting it on their plate that this is one of the highest needs in our community, and also setting up the infrastructure and being aware of some of the state programs that are out there that can help fund these kind of things is something I think is very important for us to keep our eye on. But I'm also a big believer in the private sector doing its thing and us being there to be the ambassadors to help make it happen if it's wanted. So big picture economic development is, that's a need that our community really is asking for, and I respect that and appreciate that, and we gotta do our best to try to serve that. So if somebody's coming in wanting to do that, we have to do our best to help make it happen.
Thank you. Starting with you, Alan, 1 minute. How will you address concerns about rising property taxes and their impact on homeowners and business owners?
Well, as was said earlier, the values of our homes increasing is a double-edged sword. It's a positive because it means we're a community that people want to go to, and so our home values are going up. And I personally think that's a good thing. The negative is that, results in higher costs of everything, including our taxes. What we do at the county is just keep a focus on doing our part to have a 0% increase in the levy, because people are really struggling in today's inflation to keep up with all their bills. And I hear that day in and day out, as I think has been referred to by a lot of the candidates here tonight, that the financial pressures in the house are very strong. And I want to make this do our part to keep this an affordable community for everyone, and whether it's in the townships or in the cities.
Yeah, we do need to do the best that we possibly can to keep our taxes down. You are correct that I believe that a couple of years ago, we took a 24% increase in our property values, and we all saw everything go up from there. People are out there and they're hurting. Don't get me wrong. I know they are. So we need to do, as a county, come in there and look at these budgets and say, what can we do to hold this down as best as we possibly can without making any increases?
Thank you. Starting with you, George. 1.5 minutes. The question is, what tactics are working well to ensure transparency in county government? Are there areas where you'd like to see increased transparency or accountability? And if so, can you share one idea you have to improve that?
Well, I think that came up earlier with the other group too, that, we've still got people out here, a lot of us use the text messages, the phones these days. Other people still want the newspaper or get a letter. Somehow or another, we have to still be able to use all of that and keep people informed. When we're out and about talking to people, tell them about the discussions we have in the committee meetings so they understand how we came to this decision when we finally come up with one. What I would really like to see us do is come up with an evening meeting somehow, because I still hear a lot of people say, well, geez, I can't get to the meeting. It's in the morning, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think we've tried some evening meetings and they haven't been well attended, but I would like to see us keep trying with that so that we can get more people involved in the government.
I really, really, really appreciate the question, because to me, government is all about transparency. It's all about serving the people, being very upfront and honest with the folks that we serve. So seeing a lack of transparency in my first term in service back in 2009 through 2012. It upset me so much, I wrote a book about it. And I wanted the world to know, I wanted the United States to know what's going on behind closed doors in the political arena. And I don't want to see it ever happen again in this area. So I'm very, very proud of the work that we're doing now where we do not have that problem. We are very open, transparent, and direct with people that we talk with, I think to the best of our abilities and to let them know what's going on. Specifically, one thing that we've done that I'm very proud of the county is that we live stream our meetings. So it's out there for people to know what's going on. I mean, they can watch it. And also when you, most people don't want to go to the meetings. It seems like we do have some night meetings and it just, the attendance is pretty pathetic, unfortunately. But you bring up an issue someone cares about, like the Second Amendment, all of a sudden you have 175 people come to a meeting. So it's really all about if it affects them, they're going to show up. But for the most part, people are kind of apathetic about local government. But we, like George said, we have to do our part to connect in various forms, whether it's the newspaper, texting, phone calls, Facebook, email, social media, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you. All right, starting with you, Alan, 1 minute. How do you plan to continue to learn and listen once you are in office? And why should the residents trust you to advocate on their behalf?
In my second term in office, that's probably the biggest thing I really learned is the importance of learning and listening and representing the people to the best of our abilities and clarifying what do people mean when they come to you with questions. Why are you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Et cetera, et cetera. They can trust me because one of the things I know several people have commented with me, in particular, I'll just say our sheriff, he made the comment, Al, one thing I really respect about you is you have integrity. When you say something, you mean it. And I think I learned that from the military. I'm just disciplined. I think life's too short to not give people a straightforward answer, just being honest with them. So I want to listen to people and I want to hear what their needs are and do our best to serve them.
Repeat the question again, please.
Certainly. How do you plan to continue to learn and listen once you are in office? And why should the residents trust you to advocate on their behalf, George?
Well, you should never be done learning and listening. There's a statement that goes around where I work that says, always go to bed smarter than when you woke up. So you should always be willing to listen and learn from people. When they ask you a question, if you're not clear on it, ask them again for a follow-up. Keep going till we get to the point that they're trying to get to. And I think that generally works out pretty well. You can trust me. I've been in the area my whole life. Like I say, I've served on other boards. I'm going to tell you the truth. You might not always like to hear what I say, but I am going to tell you the truth, at least the way I see it. And that's the best I can do for you.
All right, thank you. George, we're going to start with you on this one for 1 minute. Residents would also like to know the county perspective on this question. It is a question that was asked with the city council. And so the question is, what are your thoughts on the purchase and development of the Monkberg property? And do you have any concerns about the environment in regards to that property?
Yeah, all I really know about that property is what I've read about it. I haven't got really involved in it. From what I've seen on that thing, I'm a little bit concerned on what it's gonna end up costing in the long run, especially with the county. Are we gonna end up having to police it, so on and so forth? There's a lot of things that happened with that property that I don't think all the questions were asked before they went ahead and did it. I won't say that I'm totally against it, but I think they may need to take a step back and take a look at this thing before they proceed with it.
One thing I've learned in local government is to stay in your lane. As a county commissioner, we deal with a lot of different issues, and this is an issue that the city of Cambridge has taken up, and I respect them for taking them up. I'm not saying they've done the right thing or the wrong thing. I don't know. I did talk to the mayor briefly about that. He gave me a kind of a quick high-level summary of what's going on there. He said, good, let's keep in touch because I want to know what's going on, just so we're aware of it. But that's where you respect and trust the people that are in those positions to make those tough decisions.
Thank you. So Alan, we'll start with you, 1 minute. What is your plan to be more selective with development in Isanti County?
Well, it started with our comprehensive plan that really, I wanted to communicate with my master's degree in urban planning. I kind of have a background on how development works. And when you summarize the county's comprehensive plan, I know a lot of townships were concerned about, excessive growth. And so I looked at the numbers that our consultant provided. I looked at the numbers that we were kind of, the planning commission was reviewing. And I did the math. I divided by the number of townships that we have in our county, the number of years that this plan was qualifying for. And it came out to an average of 2 new residential properties, new developments per township per year. About 80% of the overall development will happen in the 3 cities. So I spoke with all 3 city representatives as we were dealing with this. I said, are you ready for this kind of growth? And I got emphatic yeses from all 3 cities. So I think the plan came together well, and I think our job is to respect the local wishes of the 13 townships and the 3 cities that represent Isanti County.
Repeat that one more time, please.
Of course. The question is, what is your plan to be more selective with development in Isanti County?
Well, I think that if we're gonna have any like housing developments or so on, obviously we need to try to keep those around the city areas. The townships out there, at least the ones that I deal with quite a bit, they all want to try to maintain their rural ability. And that's where I'm at on that.
Thank you. So George, we'll start with you on this one. 1 minute. Is the East Central Regional Library the best way to provide library service to the Isanti County? And if not, then what are your ideas?
I don't have an idea on that one. I'm sorry.
I've got ideas, but, what I do is listen to the constituents that I serve, and I represent Cambridge's west side, which is where the library is located, and I also represent Bradford Township. And depending on which community I'm in, will give me a completely different answer. So, once again, you stay in your lane. They're doing their part that they think is best in serving the community. And I think there's some parts that the citizens I have heard appreciate, and there's other parts that the citizens are concerned about. So I think it's kind of a mixed bag. I'm not going to say it's pro or good or bad, but I've heard both sides of the story. So, it's once again, I just try to stay in my lane in terms of what I'm doing as a county commissioner.
Okay, next question, 30 seconds. Alan, starting with you. Should the county board have set the levy as low as it did?
I have absolutely no problem with where we set the levy at 1.99%. As a matter of fact, I think it really isn't that difficult for us to go lower. We are sitting very, very well financially as a county, and that's because of what we've done the last 2 years. Our fund balance reserve, the Association of Minnesota County recommends 35 to 50%. We inherited about 42%. We're now at about 45 or 6%. We are doing very well. We have, our bond rating is very, very strong, and we're positioned well. So I think the levy that we approved is fine.
Yeah, for now, the levy is fine. Like I say, we just have to make sure that we don't get this reserve down to the point at some point where they're coming up and saying, okay, guys, we're not making our bill, we're not being able to pay our bills, but as of right now, we're doing pretty well.
Okay, George, 1.5 minutes. What about the county are you most proud of, and what would you consider improving?
About Isanti County, the thing that I'm the most proud of is the people that are in it. I've been around this county my whole life. And when something goes wrong or somebody needs something, this county, just the people in this county step up and do their part to help out. There's absolutely no question about that. Could you give me the second half of that question, please?
Sure, and then what would you consider to improve?
Well, doing the door knocking that I've been doing, obviously, the one thing that I hear from a lot of people out there is some of the conditions of our highways. I think that needs to be looked at as well. I believe that there is some issues out there also with child protection that needs to be looked at.
The answer I think everyone's given is what's great about our county is the people, and it's really hard to argue with that. The people here are amazing. We support each other. It's a very kind, loving, caring community. I love that about the folks here. The land is special. The Rum River going through the heart of our county is really nice. The number of lakes that we have are very nice. We're really blessed. It's a very nice area. One area to improve it, and I'm gonna just try to be a little funny here. It may not be funny, but maybe put a wall up between us and the Twin Cities so we don't have to deal with some of the stuff that's going on down there.
Very good. That was a little funny. Very good. Okay, so we're going to move into closing statements. So we'll start with you, Alan. 1 minute for your closing statement, please.
It truly is an honor to serve, the people of Isanti County. I take the position extremely seriously. I, do my best to respect all the different opinions that we hear on a day-to-day basis. I am, for those who may not know my background, my experience 12 years ago wasn't so good. And the experience I'm having right now is phenomenal. I love what we're doing at Isanti County. Very, very, very proud of our commissioners. We all have different viewpoints, but we all come together and come up with good answers that help best serve the community. I would love your vote. I love it that we have two people here who are here to connect with people. And I think that's always important in government. I want to continue serving. You can look for more information about me at duffforcommissioner.com. Thank you.
Repeat that just one more time.
Certainly. What is your closing statement, George?
In closing, I'd like to say that I really would like to represent the people of District Number 3. They're great people up there. I will do my very best to represent them with the needs and the wants that they have, as well as the rest of the county. And please consider me when you vote. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to both our candidates tonight, and good luck to each of you. And I want to thank each of you for coming tonight and attending this candidate forum. Just a reminder, on Monday, September 30th, so this coming Monday, we're going to meet again right here. The doors open at 6:15. We'll start at 6:30, and that will be candidates for Isanti City Council and the Cambridge-Isanti School Board. Right back here, same time, same place on Monday. All right, see you then. Everybody have a great evening. Well,